Hi, everyone. Welcome to our LinkedIn workshop with Good 110. For the next hour, we have two amazing folks joining us directly from LinkedIn who are going to showcase some tips and tricks on how to best utilize LinkedIn as an entrepreneur and small business owner. Some of the things that you should know and things that you can implement today. So I will hand it over to Jonathan, who will do introductions.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. As you can see, I'm Jonathan Ellison. I'm an associate creator manager at LinkedIn. I've been with the company for almost 9 years now. I'm dialing in from currently sunny but chilly Omaha, Nebraska. I have here my lovely cohort, Trish, who I'll let her introduce herself.
Yeah, thanks, John. My name is Trish Lindo. I'm a senior creator manager here at LinkedIn. I've been with the company 6 months, a whopping 6 months, but that's because I'm part of a new department here at LinkedIn, our community management team that manages creators on the platform, and I'm based in Los Angeles.
And with that, we have a light agenda here. Obviously, we have our introductions to ourselves and to LinkedIn in general. We're going to walk through some basic Rock Your Profile tips. We have an actual organization called Rock Your Profile. We have ambassadors, of which I am one, that kind of gives you an overview of the power of your profile, why you should have one, some basic statistics behind that, and then we'll walk you through some creator features and tools that Trish will then kind of expand upon and tell you what works and why you should be doing it. And then lastly, as Elizabeth mentioned, we'll leave some time for some Q&A. So with that, we'll kind of just ask the question that everybody wants to know: why LinkedIn? And so we have at LinkedIn what's called our economic graph, and this is basically everything that outlines the whole economic system that LinkedIn is about. And so this is why your reach matters. This is why your profile matters. This is why your content matters. This is why LinkedIn matters. So as you can see, even as an entrepreneur or small business owner, you have the advantages of reaching out to almost 775 million members, 58 million companies. You have the advantages of looking at 14 million jobs, 38,000 skills that are growing each day, over 120,000 schools and universities that are on LinkedIn, and then 443 billion knowledge cases. That includes LinkedIn Learning, that includes insights, that includes research. Everything that you see on LinkedIn, that's powered by our economic graph. This is the full circle ecosystem that LinkedIn is powered by. And this is why your profile matters, because it all starts with your profile. And as we always like to say, your profile is your story. You know, many people, they always thought of your profile as your online resume. Well, maybe it was, but now it's become so much more. This is your resume or your story to the world. This is who you are, both personally and professionally. And so we want you to highlight what matters to you from an intellectual perspective, from a professional perspective, even from a personal lens. As you can see with the pandemic, there have been a lot more stories of inspiration, a lot more knowledge sharing, a lot more resources available. And so this is what LinkedIn is moving towards in the future. And so with that, I'll kind of walk you through some important parts of the profile that you might, not necessarily overlook, you might already have, but you might not understand why they're important. And the first step is obviously to add a photo. As you can see, their members with a photo get 9 times more connection requests, 21 times more profile views, and 36 times more messages. And this is mainly almost a psychological effect, because think of if you were to view a profile and there's just a blank heading up there, or if there's a picture of a sunset or anything like that, if you have a professional, semi-professional profile photo, that highlights who you are as a person. And so that helps create that instant connection with the person that's viewing your profile. And when I say, professional, it doesn't have to be something that you have to go out and hire a headshot photographer for. Everyone is equipped with an awesome camera in their phones. I can almost guarantee it in the audience here. So just have a friend, just take a quick picture, and there's so many editing softwares out there that you can utilize to add certain lighting filters. You can crop features on LinkedIn. There are certain features that you can utilize LinkedIn from a filtering perspective. So we're including more and more ways for you to actually make that profile photo more conducive to what you want to see. And then this is a newer feature that we've included on LinkedIn, but I feel is one that's equally important to establish that connection, and that's to record your name. So we have the ability on mobile to pronounce your name for others, and that enables you to make a great first impression. If you're trying to, meet with other business partners, meet with investors and things like that, you want them to know your name because that establishes that connection. And so you have up to 10 seconds. You want to limit the background noise. So you want to do it in a quiet space, try and reduce echoes. And if you can hold your phone almost 4 inches away, that helps reduce the static or any echo features that you might have. Like me, I have a beard. Sometimes the beard rubs the phone. You don't want that kind of background noise. And then another relatively new feature that you can add to your profile is creating your own cover story. This is a 30-second video that you can use to introduce yourself. This creates your professional profile in a snapshot. You can talk about your intro. You can share any career stories that you're wanting to share. You can highlight any goals that you're looking to achieve. This becomes especially relevant in the entrepreneurial world because people want to understand who you are, but they may not have the time to just actively go through your entire profile. So this is the opportunity for you to help highlight that in your own words and with using your own face, your own body language, and it helps them understand and build that connection with you from just a 30-second video. And then another one is drafting a compelling summary. And so this is featured in your About section, and this is what's effectively kind of what we refer to as your elevator pitch. And this is where you can kind of focus on your career accomplishments and aspirations. There's no real tell-all, one-size-fits-all for this, but the best way to do it is understand how you want your story to be told. You can do that in a very conversational tone. You can do that in bullet points. You can do this however you want. You can read it as though it's a professional profile that an agent is reading. This is your story in your own words. And so in addition to what the cover story presents in 30 seconds, you have 40 or more words to kind of convey that story effectively in your About section. And so that's where it becomes really important to kind of have that 1-2 punch between your cover story and then using that summary to either back that up or vice versa. And then you can also detail your work experience. And this is also important from a small business or an entrepreneurial lens, because if you're pursuing investors, if you're pursuing partners, you want them to understand how your work history and how your experience has impacted who you are as a professional. So if you can lay that out in 2 to 3 sentences or 3 to 4 bullet points, that really encapsulates exactly who you are as a professional and what you're about, what goals you're wanting to achieve, and how your career has led to this point and where you're at in your journey. And it's important to keep that going. This is a living, breathing form of information on your profile. So it's important to keep that information up to date. You can highlight the goals that you've achieved already. You can talk about the goals that you want to achieve. You can talk about successful partnerships that you've made along the way. But as you can see, members with up-to-date positions receive up to 5 times more connection requests, 8 times more profile views, and 10 times more messages from members on LinkedIn. And next, I will walk through the creator features Trish will walk through the creator features and tools, and I will leave that to her.
Thanks so much, John. No worries. Okay, so creators. So I kind of touched on it a little bit when I introduced myself. So myself and John are part of a community management team here at LinkedIn. So what we do is we manage creators on the platform. So anyone can be a creator. Anyone who creates content on a regular basis is a creator. So that's just something to keep in mind, because sometimes we talk to people and they're like, I'm not a creator. What are you talking about? So anyone can be a creator. All you have to do is be consistent. The first thing that you need to do once you sort of kind of say, you know what, I'm going to use LinkedIn to sort of kind of further my personal brand or my business, you want to go ahead and turn on creator mode. And what creator mode does, it gives you, it changes your option from connect to follow. So that makes sure that, when people land on your profile, I'm sure a lot of you probably get connection requests and that sort of thing. You have to sort of feel through that. What you can do now with creator mode is that people can just follow you. And I know if you don't check it regularly with those connection requests, it can be a bit overwhelming. So that's like super helpful. Another thing is that you can share the topics that you want to talk about. You can let people know when they land on your platform exactly what business you're all about. If you want to talk about, women empowerment, if you want to talk about DEI, if whatever you want to talk about, you can have those hashtags. You have 5 hashtags that you can include as part of your profile. It'll sit right underneath your picture. And that's a great way for someone who doesn't know you at all. Once they land on your platform, they can go, oh, okay, I know exactly what this person is all about. You do get a chance once with creator mode, you get a chance to see a little bit of analytics. We do have some stuff and we do have more things that are launching in the future, but you can kind of see some of that information there where it's like 3 different type of analytics that you can see, but we are expanding that in the coming months. So another thing with creator mode that's like super exciting that recently happened is that you have access to LinkedIn Live and to newsletter. So what does that mean? That means that you can continue to build your audience on LinkedIn. If you want to go live, you can, have these robust conversations with your audience. You can engage. You can set up a schedule with your LinkedIn Live if you like, just letting people know, like, this is the conversation that we're having today. And that also further builds your engagement on the platform. Newsletter is another way that you can do that as well. If you're like, I'm not really a person that needs to be on camera all the time, but you're a better writer, newsletter is a great way to build your audience and to share with your audience on the platform and your network exactly what you are thinking about, like in terms of like your ideas or your business. That's something that has grown a lot on our platform as of late, especially with this now that this is accessible to everyone on the platform with creator mode turned on. So best practices for creating content on the platform. We suggest posting 2 to 3 times per week on the platform or once daily. Why once daily? I know some people are used to Instagram or TikTok where they constantly need to, I like to call it feed the beast, right? You constantly want to churn out content. That's not the case on LinkedIn. A lot of your posts have a bit of a shelf life, I would say up to like 2 weeks, where, your post kind of keeps going and it kind of helps to build your reach and everything. So I know for entrepreneurs who are super, super busy, this really, really helps, posting 2 to 3 times a week versus trying to post several times per day. So that's just something to keep in mind. You also want to make sure that you are putting 3 to 5 hashtags on each post. So I'm sure you guys have all seen like some posts where there's like 20 hashtags on a post, it's too much. Just to be quite frank, it's too much. It does feel a bit spammy. So you want to make sure that those hashtags are very poignant to the post that you've created, and also to share with your network exactly what you're talking about in that post. So, and you want to treat each post as a conversation, right? You want to make sure that when you're talking, either in a video or text, or you're sharing an image, or you're sharing a poll or something like that, you want to make sure that it feels very conversational and it feels like, people can really sort of connect with you in a real way. And diversify your content as well. You don't need to feel like you need to put all text all the time. You can, let's say you want to do on Mondays, I do text, Tuesdays, I do a video, Wednesdays, I go live, that kind of thing. So you can definitely kind of, switch things up a little bit. It's not kind of, don't have to feel like you're kind of stuck doing one thing all the time. You want to focus on some of your niche topics, topics that, are important to you. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing on the platform. Do what's right for you and what makes sense for you as a creator and your business, of course. And with that authentic voice, that's how you expand your network, and that's how you grow and build your reach on the platform. So another thing that we want to talk about, next slide, John, is just sort of posting images and videos. So I know I love to post images on my profile, but I would suggest, you want to make sure that your images are tied to the content that you're sharing, right? You also want to make sure if you're going to share images that it is very good quality. All of that really matters, and it helps to convey to the audience, the level of the information that you're trying to share with them. You want to make sure that the picture and the post, they connect, right? You want to follow that nice through line through your story, and the pictures and the videos obviously help to tell that story, whatever that story is for you. I think going live on LinkedIn Live and some of our videos too is a really great way to build your audience. And you want to make sure that when you're sharing any type of video content, that you have kind of set it up in a way that the audience knows ahead of time, like what you're going to discuss in your video. So when you're shooting a video, and you can shoot your video on your phone, like you don't need to have like a super professional camera at all. Like we all have our phones. Lord knows we've all paid enough for them, probably over a grand for our phones. Use them, they're great for creating content. So what you want to do is, go ahead and let's say you're going to talk about, your day or something like that. You want to set it up. Be like, hey, my name is Trish. Today, I'm going to talk about X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to share with you X, Y, and Z. So you want to make sure that your content is not sort of, rambling all over the place. People know exactly what they're getting from your content because people don't have a lot of time, as you guys know. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're creating that piece of content. Cool. All right, cool. And I just mentioned going live and everything like that. I think live is a really, really exciting way if you're someone who is really great at engaging with your audience. No pressure for sure. If you're like, I don't like, being in front of the camera or something like that, that's totally fine. It's not your thing. But, I work with a couple of creators who they find that much easier than writing a post. So it's easier for them to go live. They share some of their topics in terms of let's say tips for creating content. Some of them share updates about their business. They offer advice to their audience. And that's a really great way to add value to your content, is by giving your audience something that they can use and apply to their lives right away. So going live is a great way to do that. And just another thing too, when you do go live, that video is saved into your feed. So that is just another piece of content as well. So the live doesn't disappear, it goes to your feed. So that's a really great way for people to go back and kind of check that out as well.
So to just kind of wrap everything up, I think there's a few key points that we can kind of talk about, and Trish, feel free to weigh in as well. But make sure the topics that you're covering are things that you're either A, knowledgeable about, B, important to you, or C, important to your audience. Some other things to think of is to speak with your audience, not to them. Having engaging conversations is what content is all about, because that's where everybody learns, that's where everybody grows. And so the more you can have those conversations, the better your engagement will be. And in order to spark those conversations, don't be afraid to, mention people in the comments or in the posts in your network that you feel would be relevant to the conversation, because that not only gets them in your feed, but that's also reciprocal as getting you in their feed as well. And so there's a bunch of different ways that you can access other people's content, other people's audiences, but also do your research, find out exactly what people are talking about. Find out what's important to you, and then you can start to have those conversations and understand, like they always say, Rome wasn't built in a day. If you don't get, awesome, engagement right after the first, 3 days, 3 weeks, what have you. Stick with it. Don't get discouraged. Engage with your audience. Ask questions about what they might want to talk about. Just stick with it. Be consistent and show up as yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I completely agree. Consistency is key. Consistency. It's just like anything else, right? If you're working out, you're on a workout routine and everything like that, you want to be consistent. You're not going to get a six pack, if you only work out once a day, or like once per week or something like that. And then you don't do it for like another month. So you want to be consistent when you're creating your content. So kind of think about it like that as well.
All right, thank you so much, John and Trish. So we're moving into the Q&A section. So if you have any questions at all, please put them in the chat and we will address them. I know I had a question, a super random question, but Trish, you mentioned a good rule of thumb is to post, once daily. Does that include weekends or just weekdays?
It does include weekends. It does. And that's what's best for you. I work with some creators who only create content Monday through Friday. But I've also worked with creators who create content 7 days a week. And some people they're like, oh, I'll take Saturday off or I take Sunday off. But, whatever your posting cadence is, you want to be consistent with it for sure.
All right. So for everyone else, just a reminder to include any questions that you have in the chat while we have John and Trish here. And I know we also had a couple of questions pre-submitted as well for the event, so I can go through some of those. Somebody asked, what are the best ways to connect with a new connection? Any tips on that?
Yeah. So I'm guessing a new connection, like someone sends you just like a message or something like that, and you connect with them. What I really love, because I get a lot of connections as well, is someone putting like a nice little note, just like a couple of sentences, just kind of saying, hey, my name is John. I'm so happy to connect with you. I'm glad we connected. This is the industry that I'm in, and I thought this would be a great opportunity for us to connect and, to further build our network together. So it can be short and sweet. It doesn't have to be something that's like, super deep. But you just want to make sure that, you're sort of kind of sharing why you're connecting, whether it be like, hey, we have similar interests. Oh, I saw that, both of us, are part of this group, or, both of us used to work at X place or something like that, So just to find that little connectivity really, really helps. And it helps to further along the connection, as time goes on.
Yeah, and if you're looking to kind of establish that connection prior to actually making that connection request, a good way to find that opening is to go ahead and follow that person, see what type of content they're creating, because then you can start to interact with their content, and then you can say, hey, I really loved your post from the other day, would love to connect with you and talk more about X industry or X topic. So that's another good way to kind of establish that initial connection.
Yeah, for sure. I think the other thing too, so we do have a LinkedIn for Creators page, and I can grab that link as well and share that with you all. That is a really great resource to kind of learn about best practices and how to create content and just some ideas there. But we do have some links that we will share with you on how you can kind of move forward and that sort of thing.
Somebody in the chat asked, does connecting with someone automatically lead to following them?
No.
Or are those different things?
No, those will be separate things. So it also depends on the person's privacy selections as well. So if that person has that privacy setting to kind of be more restricted, that won't be the case. But again, the follow is what we're trying to, from a content perspective, lead towards, because we want people to be very thoughtful with the connections that they have and that they make on LinkedIn. You see some people have a little bit more open network, and that might serve them, but For content perspectives, you're definitely looking to kind of increase your audience from a follower perspective, and then figure out exactly who you want to connect with from there.
Somebody asked a good follow-up question on that, which is how do you increase your, let's say, your following, especially, we're in a pandemic and we can't really go out to, in-person networking events, but how can we increase our following in that way? Especially when we're an entrepreneur and trying to grow that, like our own brand as a founder, but also the brand of our company.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a really good question. And the easiest way to do that really is to engage on the platform and to connect with people who are in your comments, engage on their content, and that helps your presence on the platform to grow even more, because then your profile is now exposed to their network, and so on and so on. So, in addition to posting on the platform, and I'm sure if you're used to posting on other platforms, let's say Facebook or Instagram or something like that, you post a piece of content and then you're like, okay, I'm going to go around and like and comment and, share other folks' posts. It's pretty much the same on LinkedIn. You want to make sure that you are engaging with your network. Maybe you've come across someone in the comments, or maybe they commented on one of your posts that you're like, oh, I've never seen this person before. Definitely go check out their profile, follow them, connect with them, comment on one of their posts, and maybe there's some synergy there, like, oh, we should do like a project together, or maybe we should do a LinkedIn Live together. You'd be actually very surprised how open people are to connecting and to working together. So yeah, definitely try that.
Yeah, and if you're looking for suggestions as well, if you go to your LinkedIn page and then go to the My Network tab, it'll give you some pre-made people that you can either follow based off of your network's connections of followers. It also gives you people that you might connect with, say that you went to the same university as, that you might be in the same industry, maybe even your same company. So if you're having trouble figuring out exactly who to follow or connect with, just go to the My Network tab and you can kind of browse through there.
And let's say we have our audience is all entrepreneurs, but let's say they're not active on LinkedIn at all. And after today, they're like, okay, I'm ready. I want to post content. I want to create content, but they don't really know where to start. So how do you even start in terms of like what to post, or the different buckets that you mentioned, Trish, of like, these are the things that I want to be known for, but where do you go from there?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a really good question. I mean, I think if you have not built a LinkedIn presence, a great way to do is start with your profile, which are some of the tips we shared earlier, and how to make sure that your profile is optimized. A great picture, making sure everything is filled out. In terms of creating content, what I want everyone to do, or what I would suggest, is to kind of sit down and think about what you would like to share with your network. How would you like to move forward? Whether it's from a business perspective. Now, there's some people who have companies, some entrepreneurs who have businesses, but that's not necessarily what they talk about on the platform. They may be passionate about wellness or D&I, or, they might be passionate about, television. I have an entrepreneur who they consume a lot of television, and that's all they talk about is just TV shows, and people are into it, So, or if you're like, I really want to put my business out in the forefront, a great way to do that is to kind of start sharing tips and use your expertise as an entrepreneur to give back to your network and your audience. I think a lot of us sometimes forget how much knowledge we have, and you can really use that to impart to your network and to grow your following. If you're an expert in construction or something like that, or design, or, maybe you just opened up an online business, that's all knowledge that you have in your head that other people would love to hear about. You'd be like, what, here's my 3 things for starting an online business. Here's what I found, so you can have that perspective, and no 2 creators are the same. Everybody is different. So you don't have to be like anybody else. You just need to be yourself.
I love that response. And also as an entrepreneur, I know there's like the business page for your business, and then you have your own personal page for your own LinkedIn. Should founders prioritize one over the other, or how should they split their time when it comes to posting content?
So I can kind of weigh in on this. It just kind of matters what matters to you. If one is more established than the other, then maybe there's room to kind of focus on the other. But it's really almost just a separation of church and state. You know, you can have your profile where you talk about things that are important to you, and then you have your business page to focus on what's important for your business. Your business page is going to be where you're interacting with those who follow you from a business perspective, any promotions that you have going, any new products that you're launching, any new seed rounds, you know, any funding that you're looking for. That's going to be where your LinkedIn page for your business becomes important. Now, having said that, you can absolutely, you know, link on your own profile page and your own content to promote that business page. That's absolutely a feature, because we don't want to hide the fact, in most cases, I mean, there's understandably sometimes where that's not exactly okay, but we want you to feel as though your business is your own, and you can promote that using your own content, because your business is important to you. It's a part of who you are as a professional. So that absolutely should live in your content, but you have to just be thoughtful of the audiences of each.
And another question that we also got a few times is about entrepreneurs who are looking to utilize LinkedIn to find future employees. So if they're looking for, you know, their first few hires, are there any practical tips that you have to share when it comes to finding employees, connecting with them?
So there are degrees of search that are enabled through different, there's the free search, there's advanced search that you can purchase through a premium subscription, which does allow for more search filters. If you're looking for more hiring aspects or connecting aspects, I would suggest a premium business subscription. That's something that you can look into. If you haven't utilized it within the past year or so, you might be eligible for a free 30-day trial. So that is something to check out. But if you just want to utilize the free mode, I would say just exactly, you know, search for people within your area, within the, and then you can also filter down for areas of expertise and just play around with the search filters in there. There's, I mean, everybody's profile is set up to their own specific skills and their own specific identities that they can bring. And then that search is that those things are brought to life through our search platform. Obviously, there's going to be more search filters with subscriptions, things like that. But we do have a pretty good search system that is allowed to our free members.
And let's see what other questions we got. How can we be, I don't know if this is if this is a feature, but I've seen it a couple of times where it's like one of your connections, their post is doing really well, or it's like being featured, or like have you seen that where certain people's posts get like on top of your notifications for some reason? I don't think that's considered like them being in the news, but their post being like promoted or highlighted. How does that work? Or how can you make sure that your post gets a ton of visibility?
Yeah, for sure. So how we usually do that is through our LinkedIn news team. So they send out an email actually that shares some of their trending topics. You can also, if you don't receive the email, you can also go to the LinkedIn news page and you can see what they're talking about. And they have the hashtags there. And basically you just create a post using that hashtag, and they choose which post to feature. And then that's how the notification gets triggered, like, hey, one of your connections was featured, you know, that sort of thing. So that's how that happens. But it's a really great way also to build your audience. And it's basically a really neat way to, you know, stay on trend, and also to build your network in a way that you get like this new group of people who are basically discovering you. So I love that option. I know that, you know, for entrepreneurs, everyone is busy, and I get it. So, maybe choose, maybe like, hey, you know what, on every Wednesday, I go on LinkedIn News and I find some of the topics that interest me. You don't have to write on all the topics, but maybe there's something that's trending that you're like, I definitely have an opinion on that. Write a post on it, use the hashtags, and you kind of go from there. Or you can do it every day if you want. But I know it is a lot because it is a trending topic. It's on trend, so you kind of need to jump on it fairly quickly. So that's just something to keep in mind.
What else? Yeah, again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I want to make sure that we get all of the questions addressed.
There's one that's asking how do you segment your connection network so the content is more engaging to them? So that is actually not necessarily your segmenting your connections, although that does lead to that, but you actually have complete control of your feed. And so you can choose to unfollow that person. You can say, this content isn't relevant to me. I would absolutely suggest, customizing your feed. That's going to be important to the content that you want to see. I see some stuff going around in polls, and that kind of falls into that realm as well. If you don't like seeing that content, make sure you're customizing your feed. You have the ability to do that, and you can do that. There's a little button in the top right corner of the of the particular post that you're looking at, and there's a few options. If you select that, you can drop down and help customize your feed, because that'll help the system start to understand exactly which types of content is important to you, and it'll start to weed out the stuff that is less important.
Yeah, great. Yeah, there's another question there. So, does LinkedIn use algorithm to attach certain posts to trends and categories automatically? And that is no, we do not. I know the conversation a lot on our platform is about the algorithm and how that works, but trends and categories are just another way to continue to build your network. So, let's say something is trending, in the tech industry or something like that, and you want to weigh in on that. It doesn't necessarily mean that is part of the algorithm. It is a trend. So it is a topic that a lot of people are talking about currently, and that's something that news has featured. John, do you have any other insights on the algorithm or anything?
Yeah, I mean, the algorithm is something that people are constantly curious about and understanding how to try and game and beat the system. And I can very plainly say, you're never going to beat the algorithm. So, there's no point in trying to. So instead, focus on having engaging conversations with your followers, interacting with their comments to your comments and things of that nature. Focus on the content that's important to your audience. And then instinctively, their feeds you're going to start showing up in their feeds inversely. And that's going to be the best way to game the algorithm, so to speak, because you're going to be having those interactive discussions. You're going to start getting likes, comments, follows, things of that nature. And that's going to help you grow your network exponentially more than any other, algorithm beating method that you might be trying out there.
Thank you for solving that mystery.
I don't even know. I can't even solve that. That's way beyond my pay grade.
But it sounds like really the biggest takeaway is like consistency. So whatever, you don't have to post every day, you can. But even if you post only twice a week, make sure that you stick with that schedule consistently. Just do whatever is most doable for you, most reasonable for you to get started. I think those were all of the questions that we had. But I know, John and Trish, you have some amazing resources that you sent over to me as well. So I'll make sure to share that out to everyone, so you have some additional reading and resources. And we will share out the recording as well to everyone. But that's it for today. Yeah, thank you so much, Trish. John, any last words or tips that you have?
Yeah, just to kind of, like you said, there's a person on our team, Jamae, that says it best: show up as yourself and show up consistently. And I think that is the true key to success on LinkedIn. It's not algorithm, it's not science, it's just you and how you want to be represented on LinkedIn. And that's going to encourage the best followership that you can have.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree 1000%. Be consistent and, share your authentic stories. You don't have to be anyone but yourself. That's all that matters. So show up, be authentic, and be consistent. Those are my keys. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, you can feel free to connect with myself on LinkedIn as well, and John as well too. So yeah.